occult. The word occult simply is a Latin word which means hidden. It doesn't mean it's evil or bad or of the devil. It just means hidden. And most people do not see the profound significance of symbols on our money, on the corporate logos, on national flags. All of these symbols mean something to highly intelligent people. You will see when you're holding the back of the dollar bill to you, it's on the right-hand side is the eagle, and the eagle has 32 feathers on one wing and 33 on the other, 32 and 33. Very interesting is he has 9 tail feathers. And in the world of the occult, there is an idea expressed that there were 9 men who are called the Council of Nine, because religion and God is always equated with 3. There's always a triune God everywhere. All over the world you have triune deities, 3. And so the idea being 3 times 3 is 9. It's the opposing of the gods. All the gods are represented by 3. That's why you have Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, 3 major religions. They're called the people of the book. Why do you have 3? You have 3 because you have Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Osiris, Isis, Horus, Solomon. There was no King Solomon. There was no King Solomon ever existed. There was no King David or King Solomon or any of those other biblical characters. That's why the Bible is called the greatest story ever told. It's a story. Solomon, there was no Solomon. And so therefore today there is no Solomon's temple. There is a temple of Sol, Om, On. S-O-L in Latin is the sun, Sol. Om, O-M, are the priests of the Hindu priests who are called the priest of Om. Remember the chant of the Om? And then you have the word On, O-N. Well, the Greeks went into Egypt, and the center for sun worship in Egypt back then was a city called Heliopolis. Helios, and this is all Greek. The Egyptians didn't call the city Heliopolis. The Greeks call it Heliopolis because Helios is Greek and Opolis is a city. Helios is the city of the sun. That Helios is Greek for the sun, and Opolis is a city. So therefore Heliopolis is the city of the sun. But the city that the Greeks call Heliopolis, the Egyptians called it On, O-N, because it was a city of light, the city of the sun. This is why when you walk into a room, you flip a light switch on, because in Egypt, city of light was called On. So therefore, it was a city of the sun. Well, Sol, Om, On are all 3 names of the sun. And therefore, the Temple of Solomon, Temple of Solomon, is the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Great Pyramid of Giza is the Temple of Sol Oman, because the pyramid is the temple of the sun. The Aztecs and the Mayans had temples to the sun and temples to the moon. But the ones in Egypt the Great Pyramid was called the Temple of the Sun, because it was all dedicated to astrology based on the sun. So that's why it's in Heliopolis that became, and the city was called On by the Egyptians. But when you go back to the American dollar bill, you will see above the eagle's head, there are 13 stars. Look at those 13 stars and you tell me, what configuration do the 13 stars collectively make up? There are 13 stars above the eagle's head on the back of the dollar bill. Look at them, study it, think about what you're looking at, and put all 13 stars together in one picture. What does it make up? Put them all together into one star, and becomes the hexagram, H-E-X, hex is 6. Well, the Star of David is a 6-pointed star. That's why it's called a hex. Why? It's because the ancient prehistoric world, the ancient Babylonians, Sumerians, they would draw a circle on the ground and then draw a triangle within the circle and then an opposing triangle, which is a Star of David, we would call it, inside of a circle, and stand inside of that circle, that star, and cast a spell on you. And so today we have Jews all over the world who are proud to show you they have the hex put on them, because a hex is a 6-pointed star. And so they call it the Star of David. No, that first of all, we know it's not the Star of David, because the The star itself, the six-pointed star, originally came from the Hindus in India. This is an Indian Hindu symbol of the six-pointed star. It can be traced back to, in the ancient world, as a symbol for the planet Saturn. Saturn was always the astronomical, not astrological, astronomical, one of the symbols in the astronomical for the planet Saturn was a six-pointed star, a hexagram, which I think is interesting because on the planet of Saturn today, on the North Pole, there is a hexagram. You know, if you think about it, all your life, the situation in the heavens has always been the same. It's the same story year in and year out. The sun is in summer, and then it goes into fall, then it goes into winter, then it goes into the spring, comes back to summer, and then it starts all over again, spring, summer, autumn, winter, and it never stops. That's the way it is. So the sun, the ancient people said that the sun was dead in winter. Everyone in the northern hemisphere felt that the sun was dead in winter. It is dead in winter for you. It's freezing up here. But if you have the money, or if you're a bird, you can fly down to Rio. That's when summer is in the southern hemisphere. You go south for the summer. That's why you see the birds. All the birds going south in the fall. Why? Because they're getting out of here because it's winter. It's going to get cold here. And so the birds are flying south for the summer because that's where the sun's going to be. So that's the first day of winter in the northern hemisphere. December 21st is the first day of summer in the southern hemisphere. And so it's just the opposite there. So when they're having summer, we're having winter. Well, so in the northern hemisphere, we said that the sun dies for us. It's dead. It's of no value to us. We're freezing to death up here. Going back to the dollar bill, you will see the eagle. And the eagle has always represented in all societies, always the eagle is the most important symbol in all societies. And it always means the same thing. As far back as we can go to the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Phoenician Canaanites, the Greeks, the Romans, America. America has the bald eagle. You know, that's our symbol. No, it's not your symbol. It's been the oldest symbol that's ever been used by any civilization on the face of the earth, period. All ancient civilizations use the eagle. It represents the sun. But what's interesting about the eagle is you'll notice it only has two wings, left wing and right wing. That's why you can only have two political parties under this system in America. You can only have a left wing and a right wing because the eagle only has two wings. But both wings are operated by the same brain. So there's a third party here. There's the brain that operates the left wing and right wing, which is telling you that our political system is run by money. Banks are on both sides of a river. They're called river banks. Well, what does a river bank do? Directs the flow of the currency, the cash flow. On the left-hand side of the back of the dollar bill, you will see a pyramid, an Egyptian pyramid. And at the top of the pyramid was an all-seeing eye. It's become very famous now. Lots of websites and speakers out there all over the world now talking about the symbol on the back of the dollar bill is Lucifer, the devil, or Horus, the Egyptian god of the sun, and all kinds of stories out there about the symbol on the back of the dollar bill. Well, I was talking about on radio and television and speaking at circuits and expos as far back as the 1964, 65, 66 about the symbol on the dollar bill and what the words mean. It's above the top of the pyramid. You will see the Latin words annuit coeptus, and beneath the pyramid you will see the banner, which incidentally has a forked tongue. It's a forked tongue on the banner, and it says Novas Ordo Seclorum. Novas is novus, meaning novice or new. Ordo is order, the new order. Seclorum is where we get our word secular. Secular means anything that's worldly. So Novus Ordo Seclorum is the new order of the world, the new world order. Well, what are you talking about, new world order? Well, it's based on the pyramid with the all-seeing eye, the new world order. And the annuit coemptus at the top is Latin for our enterprise is now a success, or God has favored our enterprise with success. So what the symbol is saying is that this is a pyramid represents a new world order, but the idea is already a success. God has favored our enterprise, annuit coemptus. Okay, so there's an enterprise, a world enterprise, and it's called the New World Order, and it's based on the pyramid. So what the hell are you talking about? What are we talking about? We're talking about the eye and the triangle. You will see a light emanating from around the eye. The eye represents the Messiah, the Jewish Messiah. Ask any well-informed rabbi, what does that symbol at the top mean? And he will tell you, if he's well-informed and highly intelligent and well-read, that is the symbol for Messiah in the Hebrew religion. The Jewish religion, the Messiah is a triangle surrounded by light on top of a pyramid. That's the symbol for the Jewish Messiah. Also, and I'll tell you why, I'll explain to you why, but also in the New Testament, Jesus is represented as the triangle on top of a pyramid. Now, let me tell you why. Because in the Hebrew, there are two places in the Bible. I think one of them is in the book of Isaiah and one's in the book of Psalms. And we're talking Old Testament Hebrew, where the Messiah is referred to as the chief cornerstone the builders rejected. Again, in the Hebrew, Messiah is the chief cornerstone the builders rejected. Then twice in the New Testament, in Christian theology, Jesus is referred to as the chief cornerstone the builders rejected. Same words, but now it's in Aramaic and Greek, not in Hebrew. But it means the same thing. So then you'll say, okay, so the Messiah or Jesus is the chief cornerstone the builders rejected. This is why Christians who have no idea about any of this will tell you that Jesus is the cornerstone of the church. Nothing could be more ludicrous on the face of it. Go back and read it, and read the actual Hebrew scriptures, and read the Greek and Aramaic scriptures, and it will tell you, no, Jesus is not the cornerstone of the church. You are wrong, totally wrong. A cornerstone is a corner of a building, the first stone that's laid. It's a perfect square. And so wherever you lay that perfect square, when you build out from it, it's going to be too late. If you built the building and it's a little off, you should have straightened the cornerstone out to start with. So the cornerstone is on the bottom of the building. Jesus is not the cornerstone. The word in Greek and Hebrew is chief cornerstone. Chief cornerstone is totally different than cornerstone, because the word chief cornerstone in Hebrew means, look it up in the Hebrew dictionary, chief cornerstone is a Hebrew word which means a triangle perched on top of a pyramid. Because if you take a perfect four-sided pyramid in your mind, four-sided pyramid, absolute perfect, you take a razor and you cut off the tip. The tip you've just cut off is itself a pyramid, four-sided pyramid, right? But it's a little tiny one.
Smaller than the large one.
That's right. It's a little tip, but it is a four-sided pyramid. Now put it back on and it completes the full pyramid. That's what the idea is, that Jesus or the Messiah is the completion of the divine plan of the universe, the completion of God's divine ancient plan that the Egyptians knew about, the Babylonians, the Sumerians, all the ancient peoples of the world understood what God is and what the Messiah and Christianity, what Jesus actually represents. The word in the New Testament for Jesus is the chief cornerstone, which is a triangle sitting on top of a pyramid. And Jesus is referred to as God's Son, the light of the world. Well, of course, the sun is the light of the world. What else lights the world if it isn't the sun? S-U-N. Well, and the sun is our risen, Jesus is our risen Savior. Now, Jesus is the Son, S-U-N, not S-O-N. And so you ask any 6-year-old child, where is Jesus? And a little Christian kid will tell you he's in heaven. Well, when you go out at night and you look into the stars at night, what are you looking into? You're looking into heaven. Well, during the daytime, you will look up there and you'll see something called the sun. So God's Son, and obviously it's God's Son, it's not your son. It's not doesn't belong to Africa and doesn't belong to the Chinese. It belongs to God. So it's God's Son. And God's Son is in heaven. Of course it's in heaven. Where the hell else would it be if it's not in heaven? And God's Son, as you remember, is our risen Savior. Of course it rises. Every morning about 5:30 it rises, right? And it is your Savior. If it doesn't come up, you're dead in 3 weeks. It is God's Son is your risen Savior. Of course it's your risen Savior. And so the Messiah has to do with the divine plan of the ages, which is the war between light and darkness. The whole idea in the ancient Egyptian religion, the ancient Babylonian, the Phoenician Canaanite religion, and Judaism, Christianity, not Islam, but Judaism and Christianity, basically boils down to the war between light and darkness. That is what the whole New Testament story of Jesus is all about. The entire story of Jesus in the New Testament, the thing that the Christian church is supposedly based on, is based on a metaphor, an ancient metaphor, symbolic story. That's again why I said that the Bible is not the greatest collection of facts. It's the oldest story. It's the greatest story ever told. Of course it's the greatest story ever told. It's the oldest story. And the story is very simple. It's the war between light and darkness, between God's Son, the light of the world, as your risen Savior. And he gave you life. Of course he gave you life. Without the Son, you wouldn't even be here.